Hello, Sanguis, and welcome to your deck review. For those of you unfamiliar with this series or joining us for the first time on YouTube, this is a series where I, Jonathan Maldhound, known Yeller, review your deck normally and calmly, and we talk about what's wrong with your PP. Your PP being your premise and your practicum. Your premise is the idea behind your deck, what you hope it does, the Christmas land version of it, and your practicum is what you actually put in the deck, and if it helps you reach Christmas land. So today we're looking at Ramos, Charming. That pun's not actually going to live up to what you're expecting because this person cut most of the charms. They said they did a version of this deck where they had all the charms and it just wasn't working with what they wanted to actually do, which was Maze's End. So we're going to spend a few minutes talking about this idea and then most of the time talking about actual card selection, hopefully. Now I see this is $94. Probably holding you back in some ways. If you want to do Maze's End, very possible to do that on a budget. I believe most of what you need to do is search out lands. But from an idea perspective, the first river, the first bridge we have to cross is Ramos doesn't fucking do anything for this, man. Or he does like one little thing. But if I were to guess where one of the problems was coming up, it is likely in you looking to get more pips into the deck to help Ramos. Now, I've read this primer already, but I'm going to reference it again. You talked about, right now it's in bracket 2, but I'd like to see it go to bracket 3. A 5-color lands deck definitely can be bracket 3. There's a lot of, like, really fucked up and evil combo tech you can lean into. I'm not going to recommend that today because I don't think it will fit the spirit of what you want, but if you look at my recommendations and you're like, no, I want the evil stuff, I will briefly gloss over them. And you talked about, I tried to do a charm theme in the beginning to get colored mana pips to build up counters so I could then yank his counters on each turn, giving yourself double Wooburg to vomit lands on other players' turns. You've probably overhandled it at this point, like you said. More importantly, that's not even like that good. Like if we just approach it from a what issues is your deck going to face? How do you overcome those issues? If your deck is based around ramping out a specific subset of lands as quickly as possible, you are probably not going to be mana limited in general, right? Like the whole premise of what you're doing is, well, I'm going to spend all my time getting lands to field. You probably have mana. Now, if you want to do like a deterministic combo to Maze's End on somebody else's turn, there is probably a pile where that happens. That's definitely not bracket 2. That can probably fly in bracket 3, but I think you can get by on bracket 3 just fucking playing lands, dog. Just search them lands up. So the stuff I'm probably going to hit in your 99 is, hey, is this in here because it has a whole lot of pips? Because we're using that to like service Ramos making us a ton of mana. If we look at what a lands pile is going to have trouble with, and if we look further ahead to like how do we make this deck feel unique, a problem you're going to have is how do I not get beaten to death? While I'm fiddling around with Gond Gate or Dimir Guildgate, how do I not die to combat damage? How does like the combo player not combo off on me? And so what Ramos can do there is he can be a great blocker. We don't need to have very many pips for you to just be like, guess what? Now that it's turn 4, turn 5, we're starting to heat up a little bit. I'm going to have this 4/4 flying blocker. Next turn, I'm going to have this 6/6 flying blocker. Next turn, I'm going to have this 7/7 flying blocker. Just stay back, right? Chill out. There are ways to leverage him to be like, all right, I'm putting counters on Ramos. I'm taking him off. I'm tapping Maze's End 3 times because I see you have Arkalos, and I have stuff that puts lands back into play. Yeah. It's not necessary, and I think trying to achieve that is probably what's like overworking the dough here. And then the other stuff I'm going to hit is anything else that seems more combo oriented. I think the combos are a thing. The combos are a thing you should put in this deck after it works as I tap out on my turn and I fetch 2 gates every turn deck. Like that version of the deck has to satisfy you at least 50%. And if it doesn't, I think you should probably move to a different commander or a different deck idea. But if you can just be like, hey, my deck's game plan is every turn I cast Explore the Underdark. If that doesn't get you like halfway there in terms of dopamine generation, it's like I cast Explore the Underdark and I try to avoid you killing me while I do so. If that doesn't get you halfway there, the Maze's End plan as a whole is probably not going to be deeply satisfying to you, and you do have to commit totally to quirky combo deck. So with that all out of the way, let's talk about specific card selections. I'll do visual grid because it's a little bit easier to reference. So great, land searching. Sure, there are probably better options than this, but if you were trying to keep it super budget, I understand this. Hell yeah, searches gates, searches lands, kill this guy. Fine. Fine, because Maze's End will enter untapped. Hey, great. Hey, great. He's here. He's finding us lands. District Guide is also fine. Fate Stitcher is probably the first good card that I would say, you know what, you probably don't need this. The reason you have this in the deck is almost certainly to try to play Maze's End twice, or untap something else that is allowing you to play Maze's End more than one time a turn. I think that is garnish you should consider adding to the deck after you get it to a workable point, like we talked about earlier. Gatecreeper Vine is fine. Going to hand is not my favorite thing, but it is okay. So Kelpie Guide, Fate Stitcher, Kiora's Follower. Llanowar Scout's okay. I don't love Llanowar Scout. This may be another casualty of budget, which is again why I'm typically not a big fan of budget lists, because it seems like in this instance the budget is not forcing us to be creative in a way that does what we want. Like, to me, the creativity of deck building is, has my restriction forced me to do this in a totally different way? Do I have to explore a new play pattern to get this done? And for you, that does not appear to be the case. It appears to be the case that in this case, the budget is making you go, well, how do I do the same play pattern that this deck would want to do, but bad? So if you're using that as an artificial tool to play with people who build bad decks, to play with people who only want to use out-of-the-box precons, okay. But if we did the budget approach from a standpoint of like, I want to see what like cookery it forces me to do, it's not forcing you to do any cookery. It's forcing you to play Llanowar Scout. Sure, extra land drop creature that presumably costs less than Azusa. Nine Fingers Keen is great. Scaled Herbalist is fine. Yeah, this is again, these kind of fall in line with the untappers in my mind, where you're playing these because you're like, oh, I want to have a turn where I go like, play Maze's End as land for turn, activate the ability, put it back into play with Scaled Herbalist. It untaps because of Fate Stitcher or Arkalos. Then I do it again, and I'm doing all of this with Ramos's mana, which is a really cute idea. And I think that combo works up until you get Ramos's mana involved. Like, I think you can definitely do, I want to be able to instant speed threaten like Maze's End activations on other people's turns. That to me is a control deck. That is not and you can still use Ramos as the commander. It just means that we have to like delete caring about these triggers from our brain. And Ramos is here because he gives us 5 colors, and in a pinch, he could be a blocker. But the way that deck would want to play to me is you would want to be doing like draw, go, control. And all these guys who work for the strategy are really small. So you would be having a lot of whiteboard wipes like Battle of Bywater, that kill big stuff. And your turn would either be I board wipe and pass, or I hold up mana, I cast targeted removal, I cast card advantage, or I Maze's End activation, try to do it multiple times. So I think so I think there are a couple different shells that will work here. And so if what you really like about the 99 is, okay, let me put Maze's End into play over and over and over again, I think we can keep the tappers and untappers. But I think the things that, definitely the pip guys, we would need the untappers, right? Because Maze's End enters the battlefield tapped, yeah. I think I can summarize this by saying we would have to get really dedicated to it. And we would have to get really dedicated towards holding mana open, playing very, very few of these types of cards, like Broker's Charm, Crackling Doom, Boros Charm, Izzet Charm. We would probably be like heavy in green. We would have a decent presence in either white or black, because we would want to be picking up a lot of removal, and then we would maybe have some blue too. So I could see this looking a lot like a Bant control list or a Sultai control list. And then a lot of your things that are like moving the chains is you go like, okay, Sylvan Scrying, get Maze's End. Do we have any other? Don't have a lot of other tutors. I'm also seeing a shitload of sorceries that we would want to move even more instants. Like most of what the deck would want to do is play at instant speed. Don't want to play opt. You don't need just more card in hand, you need right card in hand. So with that in mind, and if we're going to be in bracket 3, and so doing this sort of combo-y control-y thing is acceptable, right? You're not gonna get arrested for it. I would say my definite cuts are Ghirapur Orrery, Aragorn, District Guide, Gatecreeper Vine, Mina and Den. Really cute, and I think it works with the instant speed game plan. Sage of the Maze. Skyshroud Ranger. Druid class. I'll try to let you keep Guild Summon because it's very cute. And then basically everything that has 3 pips that are not Sultai. Or Bant if you really want to be in Bant. But I think Sultai with like a couple white spells is probably where you end up. This one's just not good enough. Like Boros Charm is a pretty okay protection spell. I feel like you could... Yeah, permanence is pretty important in case they have non-basic land destruction. Broker's Charm is nothing. Consider is nothing. Crackling Doom is bad. D-Spark you can just do better. You're picking this because it has multiple pips in it, but you don't need to. Esper Charm is nothing. Eureka Moment's fine. Growth Spiral is also fine because these are instant speed. So we're going to really highly value stuff that is instant speed. I can play the game in my opponent's turns. That's phenomenal. Not Izzet Charm. I don't think you can afford to go card neutral or card negative. I do think we have to go, well, we can go card neutral. I think we can't go card negative. And Izzet Charm is card negative. You spend a card to not get any new cards, just kind of shuffle around what's in your hand. Joint Exploration is great as a budget pick. Absolutely not for Jund Charm. Absolutely not for Manamorphose. Absolutely not for Naya's Charm. Revival's great. Fuck no on Opt. Planar Genesis great. Fuck no for Prismari Command. Fuck no for Quandrix Command. Sultai Charm is just barely acceptable because I think we're going to be leaning Sultai. 3 steps ahead is phenomenal. I don't really think you need to mess with the lands too much. Like, again, we're doing gates. You're going to have all the gates in here. For your sorcery, this doesn't seem good enough because it doesn't get gates. I think you're too focused on like playing 8 lands in a turn when I don't see the path to us getting 8 lands in our hand. Like, you just don't have enough card draw to for it to ever like matter. And the only world in which you get the mana to Maze's End that many times is the world where we have gotten double Wooburg, and I think that is the part of the plan that you just have to abandon, which is frustrating and it's a little bit sad, but I think it's so many moving pieces that when it might work every once in a while, but it's going to take a long time to work, it's going to be clunky, and most games part of that plan is going to fail. So I would, as a rule, if you don't take all of the specific things I have told you, or if you disagree with like specific adds and cuts and you're like, I'm going to fiddle on my own, don't keep the things that are predicated on, well, I'll be able to play Maze's End and activate Maze's End multiple times in a turn because I have Ramos mana. All of those things got to go. And then Reshape the Earth, hell yeah, very funny. I think Lessons from Life is okay. I would be... And here's where the upgrades for this deck run into the budget wall. Because if we don't adhere super strictly to budget, we would want to care, and if we wanted to go up to bracket 3, we would immediately go like Gifts Ungiven, or maybe Intuition. But there are piles you can make with Gifts Ungiven where you go, okay, give me card that I want, recursion, and then they have no way to not give you the cards you want. So a basic, not even very powerful gifts pile, but a basic gifts pile could be the Noxious Revival you already have, Maze's End, Crucible of Worlds, and then like Urza's Cave. I don't even know what land you would be searching for if you already got Maze's End. Maybe like Gond Gate. There's another one that makes gates come in untapped, which is pretty valuable. Or there's another one that's like 2 tap, get X mana, where X is the number of gates you control. So you could just get like, hey, 2 lands that do the thing, 2 cards that let me get the lands back. I'm getting the 2 lands. And you would want to build in more of those packages. And you could like get a little freakier with that by going like, okay, well, I here are the pieces I've drawn, here are the pieces I haven't drawn. I search for fucking Llanowar Scout, Noxious Revival, Maze's End, and then Crucible. Easy. That's not even the best you could do, but it would function. So that's what you would be doing. If you moved up into bracket 3, it would be a lot more like tutor piles, and then it would just be the rest of my deck is like fucking, let's think. You could do Toxic Deluge. You wouldn't really want to because all your creatures are small. But you would want like Dusk and Dawn, anything that said destroy all creatures with power X or greater, because you have like 1 and 2 power creatures that are enabling everything you're doing. It's like, oh my god, isn't that going to hit Ramos? Yeah, again, we don't care about Ramos anymore, or as much anymore. And then off your turn, you would either be holding up enough mana to do the Maze's End thing, or you would be holding up something like Impulse, just something basic, something that was like Impulse, something like Factor Fiction, something that said instant speed, let me look at a couple cards, pick the best ones. So the O tag for that is going to be Mulch. You're going to go to type instant, Commander doesn't matter because we have all 5 colors. Cache Grab can do it. Mill 4, put a permanent into your hand. That's going to be any gate. That's going to be Maze's End. It's going to be whatever. Confounding Riddle will also do it. This will allow you to grab things that aren't just permanents. Green is mostly going to give you permanents, and the other colors are going to give you other stuff. But that's how I would try to play it in a way that isn't turbo. Turbo lands combo, I'll own my bias here. Turbo lands combo is very boring to me because it's very solitaire. It's very like, either I get the necessary pieces to do this all in about 2 turns, or it just doesn't fucking come together, which is why I'm not recommending it. The other really good card that you don't have, and this may be a budget thing, yeah, it's like $2 card, is Kura. Another phenomenal blocker. When they die, I get Maze's End and my 2 favorite gates. Yippee wahoo, we've done it. And then there's a lot of other like little things you can do to make tutor redundancy. Like you could bring in bad tutors if you wanted to avoid game changers. But again, we're pushing up against the budget line of like, hey, solve the equation. Go get Sylvan Scrying. Could Muddle the Mixture grab us anything? Yeah, this goes for Sylvan Scrying. But again, hey, look at that, $2. And the same thing for Archduke's Charm, like $8 card. So if you want to build more towards combo, you are going to need to proxy or break your budgeting restriction. If you don't want it to be combo, the 2 paths in front of you are you must go this Drago control route, like I talked about, or you have to become a landfall player. I think the landfall route sucks because then the gates don't really matter as much. I would recommend going this like, yeah, I'm going to play kind of soft core control and try to hold you guys off while I just dig for my gates and try to play on your turns and try to hold up enough mana to make all this happen. And then I think you kind of have stuff going. So I'm going to trust you for most of the ads. I think they're relatively straightforward, and view this more as a, how can we trim back the proverbial hedges and get a little bit less lost. So I wish you the best of luck, and I hope this helps.